This past Monday, Dr. Umar Johnson appeared as a guest on The Breakfast Club, where a topic of discussion was the killing of 16-year-old Ma'Khia Bryant. Dr. Umar would express his frustrations that Black people came to the defense of police in this situation. DJ Envy disagreed with Johnson's stance, claiming that police can use deadly weapons to defend themselves and to defend other people. After the interview, DJ Envy would make headlines as many people were upset with him for saying that he understood why the cops shot the young girl. Today we have our comedy hype analyst, Pierre, on the show to talk about the aftermath of DJ Envy's comments. But first, let's take a look.
They're claiming that the police had a right to shoot her. Even coons, Negroes are running around saying, well, she had a knife. So that justifies her being killed? I have seen lunchroom aides with no police training, no bulletproof vests, take knives and other weapons out of the hands of students during lunchroom riots. So you mean to tell me that a 60, 70-year-old man can disarm a teenager in a lunchroom, but a trained armed police can't get a knife out of the hand of a 16-year-old?
I must be a coon because I don't agree with you on this one, and I'm going to tell you why. That cop pulled up. He doesn't know friend or foe. He doesn't know who called the police. First thing he says is, you see that girl running towards the other girl with the knife up. Police can use deadly weapon to two things: to defend himself and defend another person. He fired his firearm, stopping that girl from getting shot. Now, people could say 4 times, 5 times was a lot. That was a lot of shots. His whole thing was to disarm that girl. And at first I was upset. But then I had to sit back and say, let's say that was my daughter and somebody was coming at her aggressively with a knife. She wasn't defending herself. It wasn't like she was defending. She was coming aggressively for that other girl.
So, of course, people, took to Twitter, and a lot of people are siding with Dr. Umar. Pierre, I want to come to you. What are your thoughts after seeing that on Dr. Umar's stance?
And I'm somewhat of a fan of Dr. Umar, but he just said half of it was a crock of shit to me. Because first of all, let's talk about the 80-year-old women and 80-year-old people, teachers taking knives away from kids. They're not taking knives away from kids in the middle of a stabbing. I promise you that. Show me some footage, Dr. Umar, of somebody stabbing somebody. An 80-year-old person comes in and moves their hand out like that. Now, somebody may have a knife. They might be fighting from a distance or whatever. But in the act of fighting like that girl was, stabbing, I don't want to hear all that. 80-year-old people grabbing knives. Some 80-year-old people get killed. Then he called the knife a butter knife. Oh, nigga, please, come on, play a butter knife? What kind of butter you eating, man? What's some hood butter? Some hard-ass butter? No, sir, that was a knife. That was a steak knife. I saw it. It was what it was. Then also, he has the low-hanging fruit of always want to call somebody a coon that doesn't agree with you. It got to be a coon if it ain't going your way, nigga. You heard me. You ain't going your way, nigga. So no, sometimes you can have a difference of opinion. You can agree to disagree. And in this situation right here, I agree with DJ Envy. I totally agree with DJ Envy.
So do you feel that, because I do think this is probably the first situation I've seen where so many of us are split. Do you feel, because I think, at least for me, I feel that it was excessive force.
Okay.
To come out and shoot this girl 4 times, it just seems excessive. So would you agree that it was excessive force?
Well, okay, first of all, I don't know how police are trained, and we might have to stop the training. When you pull a pistol out, you start firing, very few times is a pow. Even on the street, even in the hood, nigga, pap, 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 pap. It ain't always pap, I got one person, pap, another person. It doesn't go like that. And there's a human being. These cops are human. They're not trained in real scenarios, okay? They're trained in mock scenarios. So they get out there, the heat's blowing, you got a pistol, you got an automatic. Once you pull that trigger, it starts to fire down. One shot, bow, it doesn't happen.
I think you're right. We definitely don't know how officers are trained, especially if you're not an officer. However, there are just too many videos, and I think it's mentioned over and over, too many videos of showing where they're not always trained to just pow, pow, pow.
Okay.
You've seen, and I think Charlamagne brought up, that video that came out where the white guy literally stabbed the officer in the neck. And the officer put out his gun and then switched to his taser.
Should have fired the officer. Should have fired him.
But it's just the fact that we've seen too many videos of where, why is it always when it comes to us, it's excessive force?
I agree.
But in every other situation, you have different options.
So you're fine when we just kill everybody. Everybody gets the same killing. Just kill everybody.
I think if it's a situation where someone is in danger,
like that situation, just what happened with that girl.
He should have definitely came out and took some type of action.
Like what?
I think a taser.
I see people take tasers out. Tasers don't always stop people. They don't always automatically stop. I've seen people get tased, yes. And if you miss that tase, and don't hit right, that girl's continue to stab.
Again, both of us are speaking from civilian. We're both civilians. We don't know how officers are trained, right? But for me, I do believe there had to be another way for you to handle this situation. My main concern is a couple things. One, I do think it was excessive force. Okay. I don't think 4 shots was necessary. I do think there were other options that could have been handled. Granted, I am not a police officer. That is just from my point of view.
Sure.
Secondly, for the officers, at the end of everything, to say Blue Lives Matter, to me,
that was bogus.
Shows that there's your intention, what your true motive is.
Fire all of them.
Because at the end of the day, please show me where a blue life is. Please show me a blue person where their life matters. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that officers, F all officers, every single officer. That is not what I'm saying. However, the moment that you say a blue life matters more than a black life, that to me just shows your motive was in the wrong place. So I don't think when they came out there, they had that girl's right in that girl's best interest at heart. I don't. I think it's a tough situation overall. And, you know, whether I agree with you or not, or agree with people that, you know, agree with what you believe in, Aries Spears is actually a person who spoke on it, who agrees with you. So let's take a look at his clip.
You know, I stand with you. You know, I love you. I love us. I know a lot of us were really quick to get mad and start talking about how the black girl in Ohio that got shot. Yo, this is another one. The cops just, they keep killing us. Before we go crazy, understand what happened. And when you see the actual body cam footage, the girl that was killed had a knife in her hands. She already attacked one person, and she had another girl up against the car ready to stab her. And the cop shot the girl with the knife who looked like she was about to stab someone. So I get it. These cops are out of control. But we can't, this one might not be the one. That black girl with that knife was on a rampage. And the cops are supposed to protect and serve. And if they hadn't shot that girl, that other girl was about to get stabbed.
Let's say the cop didn't show up and that girl would have stabbed the other girl. The girl would have stabbed her to death. Just stab. What would we say? What would we say? But hold on. She didn't have a knife. The other girl didn't have a knife. The other girl didn't have a knife at the time.
But unfortunately, that just goes into the play of, like, we don't know what happened before because Micaiah is the one that called and said, like, hey, this is...
But at that point, she didn't have a knife.
Right.
So if you have a knife and you throw yours down, I pick one up. Now I'm not to stab you, or should I be like, well, you ain't got one either? Well, how do we do that now? Do we just stab? So
if I'm defending myself, and you've already attacked me once, and then you're coming to jump me
without a knife.
Regardless of if before what's caught on video, if my life is in danger, there is no stopping. There is no like, oh, because now your weapon has fallen, I'm gonna stop.
So okay, so you're cool with her stabbing her to death after the fact?
I think it's a tough situation overall. It is not. It's not a black and white situation. It's unfortunate for every side, to be honest. But one thing that really struck me, and I think is kind of. It doesn't match up when Aries is talking about, oh yeah, you know, I know the police is out of control, but is a conjunction that clears out everything before. I understand the cops out of control, but this one probably ain't it. No, this one is still it. Because it shows that they don't value our life. They value blue lives more than they value black lives.
Do you think the cop valued the girl in the pink's life? She was getting stabbed.
I don't.
You don't think he didn't really care that he was stabbed?
To me, it seems like he just got a little itch off. Like, I get the...
Well, it been smart. It been smart. He just let him kill her then. So, hey, y'all stop it over there. Let y'all finish. If it don't matter.
I'm not saying that he shouldn't have got out and taken action.
I know, but you don't think
he would have been doing his job. But to shoot her 4 times, I would
agree.
Stand by that's excessive. That's my
okay. So one time would have been okay. One time would have been okay.
Because I don't think one time probably would have killed her.
But right. But if one time had killed her, what would you have said?
I
she had died.
I don't think that Micaiah Bryant should be dead, period. And it's unfortunate that the way that she died is by excessive force, by an officer who is here to serve and protect our communities. I think overall, when it's said and done, it's an unfortunate situation for every side involved in the situation. For, you know, the Micaiah's Bryant family, as well as now the girl who, you know, came to jump her. She has to live with, you know, me coming to jump is, you know, this is what happened because of that. So I do think it's an unfortunate situation, and I do think, you know, the people around kind of failed her too. You know, I think somebody should have stepped in instead of, I think you said, you know, in the video, somebody stumping somebody in the back. I think we got to stand up in our communities as well. I don't think, you know, we should just turn a blind eye to the situation of how, you know, this situation could have been prevented.
It shouldn't have escalated to this point. It really shouldn't have been escalated to this point. You know, we have too many adults in the neighborhood that act childish, want to jump and join in and shit. You're grown. Handle these situations. Them knives should have been taken away, like Dr. Umar said, from some adults. Okay, they should have been taken away before they start slashing everybody. Should have been taken away from adults, and we wouldn't be in this situation, I believe.
I definitely agree with you. Well, you heard from us. Now we want to hear from you in the comments below. What are your thoughts on this situation? For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
Put it in the comments.
Protect Black culture.
You a fan of the Comedy Hype News Show? Take a piece of us home with you by purchasing your own mug from each of our correspondents. Available now at comedyhype.com/shop.